The internet is vast. It holds endless information. From the mundane to the extraordinary, the internet is a repository of human knowledge and creativity. It connects us, entertains us, and informs us. But it also has a darker side, a side that many of us are unaware of or choose to ignore. Some of it is good. Some of it is disturbing. The internet can be a place of joy and discovery, but it can also be a place of fear and horror. For every heartwarming story, there is a tale that chills the soul. For every piece of useful information, there is content that can disturb and unsettle. In the darkest corners, we find horror stories. These are the places where the light of day never reaches, where the shadows are long and the air is thick with dread. These stories are not just tales of ghosts and monsters, but of real-life horrors that can be even more terrifying. These stories spread like wildfire. In the age of social media, a single post can be shared thousands of times in a matter of minutes. What starts as a whisper in the dark can quickly become a roar that echoes across the internet. These stories captivate us, drawing us in with their mystery and fear. They stay with us, haunting our thoughts. Once we have read or heard these stories, they become a part of us. They linger in the back of our minds, resurfacing in our dreams and in our quiet moments. They make us question what we know and what we believe. Are they real? Are they fake? This is the question that haunts us the most. In a world where information is so easily manipulated, it can be difficult to separate fact from fiction. These stories blur the line between reality and imagination, leaving us to wonder what is true and what is not. The answer may be more terrifying than the stories themselves. Sometimes the truth is more horrifying than any fiction. The realization that these stories could be real, that the horrors they describe could actually happen, is a fear that is difficult to shake. These stories come from many places. The internet is a vast and varied landscape, and these stories can be found in every corner. From the dark web to mainstream social media, from obscure forums to popular websites, these tales of terror are everywhere. Some are born on forums. These are the places where people come together to share their experiences and their fears. In the anonymity of the internet, people feel free to share their darkest thoughts and their most terrifying encounters. Others originate on websites like creepypasta. These sites are dedicated to the creation and sharing of horror stories. They are a place where writers and readers come together to explore the darkest corners of the human imagination. No matter their origin, they share common threads. These stories are often told in the first person, giving them an air of authenticity. They are filled with details that make them feel real, even when they are not. They tap into our deepest fears and our most primal instincts. They are often told through personal accounts. This makes them feel more immediate and more real. When we read these stories, we feel as though we are hearing them from a friend or a neighbor, someone we know and trust. They feature disturbing images and videos. These visuals add to the horror, making the stories even more terrifying. They stay with us, haunting our thoughts and our dreams, and they leave us with a sense of unease. Even after we have turned off our computers and put away our phones, the fear lingers. These stories remind us that the world is a dark and dangerous place, and that sometimes the most terrifying things are the ones we cannot see. One such story is that of the Smiling Man. It's a tale that has been whispered in hushed tones, shared in the dark corners of the internet, and has left many sleepless. It began on a forum, a simple post buried among thousands. The post was unassuming, just another thread in the vast web of online discussions. A man recounted a late-night encounter. He was walking home alone, the night air cool against his skin. The streets were eerily quiet, the kind of silence that makes you hyper-aware of every sound. The streets were empty. Then he saw him, a figure standing under the dim glow of a streetlight. casting long shadows on the pavement. A man standing under a streetlight. He was smiling, but it wasn't a friendly smile. It was a grin that seemed to stretch unnaturally wide, almost as if it were painted on. The man tried to ignore him. He quickened his pace, his heart pounding louder with each step. The sense of unease grew stronger, but the smiling man followed. He didn't get closer. He maintained a steady distance, his smile never wavering, his eyes fixed on the man. He didn't speak, he just smiled, that wide, eerie grin that seemed to pierce through the darkness. A wide, unnatural grin that sent chills down the man's spine. It was a smile that seemed to hold a sinister secret, a hidden malice. The man ran. He didn't stop until he reached his apartment. His breath was ragged, his legs burning from the exertion. He slammed the door shut and leaned against it, gasping for air. His mind raced, trying to make sense of what had just happened. When he looked out the window, the smiling man was gone. The street was empty once more, as if the encounter had been a figment of his imagination. But the fear was real, and it lingered long after the man had disappeared. The forum post ended with a plea for help. The man wanted to know if anyone else had seen the smiling man, if anyone could explain what he had experienced. Replies started pouring in. Some dismissed it as a prank or a figment of the man's imagination, but others shared similar stories, encounters with a smiling figure that left them shaken. The smiling man became an urban legend, a figure of fear and fascination. People began to share their own encounters, each story adding to the mystery and the terror. Some said he was a ghost, a restless spirit doomed to wander the streets. Others believed he was a manifestation of pure evil, a demon in human form. Whatever he was, the smiling man left a lasting impression on those who saw him. His smile was a haunting reminder of the unknown, a symbol of the darkness that lurks just beyond the edge of our understanding. The story of the smiling man spread beyond the forum, finding its way into other corners of the internet. It became a topic of discussion on social media, a subject of countless YouTube videos and podcasts. People were captivated by the mystery, drawn to the fear and the unknown. The smiling man became a part of internet folklore, a story that continues to be told and retold. And so the legend of the smiling man lives on. A reminder that sometimes the scariest things are the ones we can't explain, the ones that leave us questioning what we know about the world and the shadows that inhabit it. So the next time you find yourself walking alone at night and you see a figure standing under a streetlight smiling, remember the story of the smiling man. And maybe, just maybe, quicken your pace, because you never know who or what might be watching you from the shadows, with a smile that never fades. The story spread. It started as a whisper, a hushed conversation in the corners of dimly lit rooms. People gathered, sharing their experiences in low voices, afraid to speak too loudly, as if the very act of speaking might summon the entity they feared. Others came forward with similar experiences. Each story was eerily similar, yet uniquely terrifying. They spoke of encounters that left them shaken, their voices trembling as they recounted the details. The fear was palpable, a shared dread that connected them all. A man in a business suit, smiling at people from across the street. He seemed out of place, his smile too wide, too unnatural. It was a smile that didn't reach his eyes, a smile that sent chills down the spine of anyone who saw it. A figure lurking in the shadows, a grotesque grin plastered on its face. It was as if the darkness itself had come to life, taking on a form that was both human and monstrous. The grin was a constant, a horrifying reminder of the malevolence that hid in the night. Each encounter shared the same chilling details, the unnatural smile. It was a smile that seemed to mock the very essence of humanity, a smile that promised something far worse than mere danger. It was a smile that haunted their dreams, a smile they couldn't escape. The feeling of being watched. It was an oppressive sensation, a weight that pressed down on them, making it hard to breathe. They felt eyes on them, even when they were alone, a constant reminder that they were never truly safe. The overwhelming sense of dread. It was a fear that went beyond the rational, a primal terror that gripped them and wouldn't let go. It was the kind of fear that made their hearts race, their palms sweat, and their minds spiral into dark places. Was it a hoax, a collective hallucination, or something more sinister? The questions swirled in their minds, each possibility more terrifying than the last. They debated endlessly, trying to find a rational explanation, but none seemed to fit the horror they had experienced. The stories offered no answers. They were fragments of a larger, more terrifying puzzle. Each piece added to the mystery, but none provided clarity. It was as if they were chasing shadows, trying to grasp something that was always just out of reach. They only raised more questions. Each new story added another layer of complexity, another twist in the tale. The more they learned, the less they understood. It was a labyrinth of fear and uncertainty, with no clear way out. The Smiling Man became an internet legend. Stories of his appearances spread like wildfire, shared on forums and social media. People from all over the world claimed to have seen him, each account adding to the mythos. He became a symbol of the unknown, a figure that represented the darkest corners of the human psyche. A cautionary tale whispered in the dead of night. Parents warned their children, friends shared the stories in hushed tones, and the legend grew. It was a reminder of the dangers that lurked in the shadows, a story that kept people on edge, always looking over their shoulders. A reminder that even in the safety of our homes, something unsettling might be watching from the shadows. The Smiling Man was a symbol of the unknown, a reminder that fear could find us anywhere. He was the embodiment of our deepest fears, a figure that haunted our nights and lingered in our thoughts long after the sun had risen.